Just tested out the Prius electric steering on this go-kart, and you can see that that's what's left of the steering wheel right here. And then I just drilled it through and bolted it on. This is just angle iron, and then the handlebars that came off the motorcycle. Just bolted it on the angle iron, and it seems to be working really good. I wasn't sure if the alternator would be able to keep up with the power steering. I mean, these cables, the cables coming out of the motor, they look like they're 10 gauge, and these look like they're 8. Got a little fuse in right here, off on switch, and it's just like, I got the idea from Ratherby Welding. This thing was brutal to try to steer before this, and now it's super easy. It works exactly like you would expect it to, and it just takes, I mean, you got the computer on here, you got to leave, and you just find a place to bolt it on and cut what you got to cut and weld what you got to weld. It can all be unbolted. It's bolted on there, and it's bolted on that bracket there, and it can be taken apart here. It's welded on there with a bolt going through the go-kart drive shaft that's left. Not drive shaft, but the steering shaft. And that's the back side of what was the steering wheel. And it's just these 3 wires. This small black wire has to be tied into the positive. Not sure if a small black wire, I cut the other ones off. Small black wire is tied into the positive, and then I just ran the positive to the battery, and same with the negative. That's probably not the best way to do it. There's no relay, but there is that fuse. So when I started it, I checked the voltage on the battery before I started it, and then checked it after I ran it for about 10 minutes, and it did charge the battery a little bit higher. So I'm guessing that means that the alternator can keep up. The only electrical else that I've got on it, this fan seems to drag way more juice than the steering does. Because when I flip the steering on, the alternator, it actually read higher. And then when I flip the fan on, then it dropped down to a little bit lower of a voltage. But that's all that's hooked up is the tachometer, the power steering, the fan, and I don't think there's any electrical going through the starter switch and the off-on button. And then whatever electrical, however much that takes to run the spark plugs and that sort of thing. So, but there's not much point in me driving it because you can't really tell, what it's doing when I'm driving it. It looks just like all my other videos, but I just wanted to throw that on.